Hey you, thank you so much for clicking on this video. So today I wanted to talk to you about something that I see a lot of people struggling with these days. I myself used to struggle with it a lot in the past and I still do. And the thing that I'm going to talk about is our worth and our value. So lately a lot of people have been having trouble with their self-worth, their identity, their value in the world, their value for themselves and for other people, how much they're worth, stuff like that. Concepts like these are very jarring for some people. At least for me, they have been. And it took me 30 years to realize that there are two concepts basically. There is the concept of self-worth and then there is the concept of self-value. So yeah, two concepts, value and worth. It took me a long time to realize that these two concepts are completely separate from each other. They are not dependent on each other. Our value is very different as compared to our worth. Let me explain to you what value and worth really mean for me personally, and I hope that once I explain it to you, you will also be able to gain some perspective on these two things. So, worth is something that gives us a sense of our position in this world. It gives us a sense of where we stand in this world and in this universe. And different people may have different understandings of what worth personally means to them. For some, it can mean the amount of success that you achieve in your lifetime. For some, their worth can come from the amount of money that they earn in life. For some, it can be defined by the number of good acts that they do for the world and for the people, or maybe for animals, or maybe for environment, the number of good deeds that they do. So basically, worth is something that you can quantify. It can be in terms of success, it can be in terms of money, it can be in terms of the number of good deeds that you do, it can be in terms of the talents or the skills that you acquire in life and the level of the skill that you have. All of these things are quantifiable. So worth is something quantifiable, it can be measured, it's measurable, and since it's measurable, it can be compared to. And that is why people struggle so much with comparison these days, because people can be doing a lot of things. For example, you can be doing a lot of things in life, but still it would seem less for you, and that would directly affect your sense of worth. It's like, oh, am I really doing enough? The person in front of me is doing so much better than me, or is doing a lot more than me. Maybe you are actually pretty good at a skill, but then you see someone else who's better at that skill than you. That's because the level of skill that you have is measurable, it's quantifiable. You can define a level to that skill. And that is the, I won't say it's a problem, but then eventually people make it a problem that they try to find their worth, but then they end up comparing the measurements, if you know what I mean. And that is where an idea of self-worth for someone can become so skewed, that it's very hard for them to see their own worth. And that is exactly what I struggled with in the past as well. Although people told me that, oh, you're so good at this, or you're so good at that, or you're so strong, or you're mentally so capable and stuff like that, I could never believe that because I could never see that. I always ended up comparing myself to other people, even though I knew nothing about those other people. But in my mind, I had made them worth so much more than me that my worth for me automatically ended up being so little or almost non-existent. And that is what I struggled with a lot in the past. Maybe I'll get into the details of it in another video, but yeah, that is a big problem these days. And that's only because our worth is so measurable, it's so quantifiable that you can just compare it and it becomes a relative quantity. And I firmly believe that our understanding of worth and self-worth is rooted in how we are brought up and how our system works, how our world works, basically. So I think almost all of us have been brought up on this reward system wherein, we had to do something in order to get something. We had to study to get good marks. We had to study more to get better position. Even when it comes to parenting, for example, our parents reward us as kids when we are in our best behavior or when we are good kids, and they will punish us if we are bad kids. And while I say this, I'm not really saying that the system is flawed or the reward system that we have been brought up in is a flawed system. It's not. Especially considering the world that we live in, the reward system is actually a very effective system to grow in life. But then it has its own repercussions, and the repercussions are that we struggle with our self worth in the long run. Having said that, if I think of any other system other than the reward system, of course, which could have been efficient in getting the job done, I can't really think of anything. Is there any substitute to reward system that can get the job done without the repercussion that it has on us? Well, I don't have an answer to that right now. I don't think that I'm a revolutionary at this point, but if I do get an answer, I will definitely update you via a video. But yeah, right now nothing comes to mind, especially considering the world that we're living in right now. Now, this is where it gets a bit interesting. So, it took me 30 years to realize that there is a different concept than worth, and that is value. It's very hard to describe what value really is, especially if we look at value at the grand scheme of things and on a metaphysical level. The value that I'm talking about, it's not the one that's defined in our dictionary, or it's not the one that's used in mathematics. The value that I'm talking about is my value. You know of an atom? An atom in itself that exists has some inherent value to it. That is why it exists, right? And when I say value of an atom, I'm not really talking about the mass of an atom, or how many electrons it has, or what's the core of the atom, what's it's composed of. I'm not talking about any of that. All of that would be its characteristics, its properties, the mere existence of the atom. I'm not even going to go into why that atom exists or how it exists or stuff like that. Just its existence. If an atom exists, means it has some inherent value. We don't know what that value really is. Maybe it would take us a bigger, better understanding of the universe. It would take us more than consciousness itself to really realize the value of an atom. And having said that, I'm not talking about the characteristics, I'm not talking about mass or the structure or the electron spin and stuff like that. I'm not talking about any of that. Just the mere fact that an atom exists, that fact in itself has a value. Otherwise, that atom wouldn't exist at all. Do you know what I mean? So, the existence of the atom in itself is a value. And similarly, just like the atom is existing in the universe, just my mere existence also has a value. I, as a human, doesn't have to know what that value is. Maybe I can never know what that value really is. Maybe I would have to have multi-dimensional understanding, or maybe I would need another level of consciousness to really understand what my value is. Maybe I would have to detach me from myself metaphysically to know what my value really is. Maybe I would have to become God for that matter. I don't know. Maybe as a human, I cannot really know the value of my existence. Maybe it is beyond me. But just the mere fact that I'm existing is a fact of value. If it did not have any value, I wouldn't have existed in the first place. And that is where I feel that the only thing that doesn't have any value is nothing. So if we go into the concept of nothing, which is again another tangent altogether, the concept of nothingness. But I think that the only thing that doesn't have value is nothingness. Nothingness doesn't have any value. Anything that exists or will exist or has existed, which is not nothing, has some value. That is why it exists. And having said that, my value is not at all dependent on my worth. My worth can be defined by the things I do in life, by the success I achieve in life, by the money I make in life, by the physique I build, or by the good deeds I do. All of that can define my worth, but all of that is completely irrelevant to my value. My value is in the fact that I am existing, and these two concepts are completely separate. There is no connection between value and worth. And this fact took me 30 years to realize that my value does not depend on my worth. My worth depends on the things I do in my lifetime, but that does not at all affect my value. If you are someone who's struggling with their worth, you need to reevaluate whether it is really your worth that you're looking for or whether it is your value that you're looking for. Because if you're looking for value, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how much worth you have. You can have a lot of worth in life, but if you're someone who's looking for your value, you will never be able to find your answer in your worth. If you are someone who's looking for your value in this universe and this grand scheme of things, the only answer I have to give you is that I don't know. I don't know the value of our existence. I really don't know. And maybe it's okay to not know. We don't have the mind or the consciousness to know everything about everything. We just don't. So for now, if you're someone who's trying to find their value, I would say just relax, because maybe it's not meant for you to be known. Maybe just the mere fact that you exist is your value, and that's it. That's all you have to know about your value. Your value is not defined by the things that you do. That is what your worth is defined by. And you can definitely work on your self-worth and your worth in the world based on your own definition of your self-worth. If you're someone who finds their self-worth through their physique, build that physique. If you're someone who finds your self-worth through the hard work that you do, I would say work harder. If you're someone who finds your self-worth in the good deeds that you do, I would say do more good to the world. Once you start doing more of what builds your self-worth, you will definitely start seeing that. But having said that, you need to be mindful of the comparison, because worth is very quantifiable, it's very measurable, and we can get caught up in measuring two quantities and comparing two quantities. So yeah, that is it for this video. I hope that I was able to explain these two concepts of value and worth in a way which helped you gain some perspective. If you have any other thoughts or comments or ideas about value and worth, please do let me know in the comments or in the email. I'm always so eager to hear from you. If you watched till the end, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Till then, take care.